was supposed to be background filler, something NBC slotted in like a routine checkmark. A quick live segment with Caitlin Clark, a few standard questions, then back to normal programming. But the instant she appeared on screen, the energy shifted. You could feel it. The room leaned in, the conversation stuttered, and the broadcast suddenly felt secondary to her presence. Clark didn't need to shout, pose, or prove herself. She commanded attention through preparation alone. She dissected plays faster than analysts anticipated coverages before clips even finished, and spoke about spacing, tempo, and decision-making with the authority of someone who didn't need validation to occupy that space. And that's when the numbers reacted. Viewership didn't just rise, it spiked. Live metrics surged mid-segment, social media feeds erupted, and clips were circulating before the broadcast concluded. People who weren't even watching tuned in, and that's when the real discomfort began.
With an enormous following within the game, is joining the network's pre-game coverage for its debut of Sunday Night Basketball this weekend when the Los Angeles Lakers play the New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden. The debut. They picked her to kick it off. Not, yeah, it'll do a couple weeks and then you'll come in. No.
And that's when it hit differently. This wasn't just a women's basketball audience anymore. This was everyone. NBA fans, casual viewers, people who didn't follow leagues but chased moments, and Caitlin Clark had delivered one effortlessly. On-air reactions were understated. A raised eyebrow, a brief pause, a hesitant smile, but behind the scenes, things were anything but subtle. Phones started buzzing nonstop. Executives, producers, sponsors, even players noticed, because this wasn't just visibility, it was elevation. For years, athletes were told the league would grow collectively, that no single name should dominate, that attention would be evenly spread. But live on air, Caitlin Clark shattered that narrative, proving that a single player could redefine the spotlight.
Being the number one overall pick and, all of this stuff, like if you weren't 100% anti-Caitlin Clark, there was something wrong with you. At least the general media aren't necessarily like that anymore. The WNBA media absolutely are. Absolutely are. Like we've still, the phrase "the Fever are better without Caitlin Clark" is one that was used by commentators. Like, to be fair, at least no one's gone full Sheryl Swoops.
Caitlin Clark wasn't being treated as just another player. She was the centerpiece, and that's when tension surfaced, because attention equals power, and power inevitably breeds friction. Within hours, reactions started leaking out, not through official statements or press conferences, but in subtler ways. Notable silence where praise was expected, pointed remarks from those who felt challenged, and a defensive energy that clashed with what should have been a celebratory moment.
Making her debut as an analyst on TV. Let's take a look at the article, shall we? Caitlin Clark joined Sunday Night Basketball for 2 NBA games. Caitlin Clark is headed to the NBA, at least for a couple of nights. NBC announced Tuesday that Clark, the Indiana Fever star with an enormous following within the game, is joining the network's pre-game coverage for its debut of Sunday Night Basketball this weekend when the Los Angeles Lakers play the New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden.
The Caitlin effect started trending again, but this time it wasn't about ticket sales. It was about credibility. Once someone proves they can command a national audience live, without controversy, gimmicks, or external hype, you can't pretend they're just another player. And pretending became impossible. That's when frustration bubbled up, not from fans, but from inside the basketball world. Some players felt blindsided. Others felt overshadowed. A few felt exposed because the segment didn't just highlight Caitlin Clark, it highlighted who wasn't ready for that spotlight. And readiness matters when the glare is unforgiving. Meanwhile, Caitlin stayed silent. No clapbacks, no interviews, no celebrations. Silence in moments like this speaks louder than any response. It lets everyone else reveal their own insecurities. Within days, debates erupted. Was this fair? Was it favoritism? Was NBC pushing a narrative? The uncomfortable truth, NBC didn't create the reaction. Viewers did. They followed engagement, retention, and clicks, and the numbers didn't lie. Her segment outperformed surrounding content. Her clips outran highlights. Her analysis kept people watching. That wasn't bias, it was demand, and demand scares people who don't control it. As Caitlin's presence grew, something else happened quietly. Fans noticed who was missing. Certain voices faded. Certain names stopped trending. Attention shifted, and it doesn't ask permission, it just moves. This triggered internal questions. What if coverage keeps favoring her? What if fans start choosing personalities over tradition? What if one player becomes unavoidable? Control is everything, and once it slips, it's impossible to reclaim. According to insiders, internal discussions grew heated. Messaging became cautious. Appearances were reconsidered. Language softened. But the damage was done. Caitlin Clark didn't just go viral, she changed expectations. Fans didn't want her hidden anymore. They didn't want balance. They wanted clarity.
Yankees, America's team. The Phillies gave Clark rave reviews and even invited her to come try it for real, and now NBC is giving her that opportunity as well. She's going to be in a basketball arena, like she always is, and in her comfort zone, which is on the court talking about the sport she loves and the sport that she shines in. Of course, they're going to be breaking down what they expect these teams to do. Lakers Knicks, I believe, is the first game. It would be nice if they kind of do like the little roles that they do on the court. Okay, I'll play LeBron James, you play Austin Reeves, you play Luke.
They wanted the truth about who actually moves the needle. And once fans decide that leagues don't get a vote, the backlash didn't explode immediately. It started small, subtle unfollows, disengagement, comment sections growing hostile. Then it sharpened. Criticism of leadership, accusations of mismanagement, questions about priorities. Suddenly, the conversation wasn't about Caitlin Clark anymore. It was about why it took so long for the league to recognize her, why it required live TV to reveal what fans already knew, and why systems often fail to reward true preparation and talent. This is where panic sets in. Leagues can survive scandals, but they struggle to survive misreads, especially when the audience feels smarter than the decision makers. And that's exactly what happened here. Caitlin Clark didn't embarrass anyone. She exposed the gap between preparation and entitlement, between relevance and routine, between those who can command attention and those who expect it. Once that gap is visible, it doesn't close quietly. NBC moved on. The broadcast ended, but the ripple didn't. Every subsequent appearance was measured against it. Every segment without her felt flatter. Every debate circled back to the same question: why does she feel different? The answer is simple. She treats the game like it matters. Not just the plays, but the presentation, the explanation, the responsibility. That's what viewers felt. That's what rattled people. Because when someone shows up prepared for the biggest stage, excuses become obvious. And excuses don't age well. This wasn't a hostile takeover, it was an accidental one. NBC didn't plan chaos, but when Caitlin Clark walked through that door, she didn't knock. She belonged. And that changed everything. Now the audience has seen what's possible. They've seen her command the room, translate the game, and hold attention effortlessly. You can't unsee that, and you definitely can't put it back in the box. That's why this moment matters. Not for outrage, not for drama, but because it revealed something fragile. The old balance, the illusion that exposure could be managed, attention rationed, or stars contained. Caitlin Clark didn't break the system. She showed how close it already was. And now everyone feels it. Some are excited, some are angry, some are afraid.
Which is crazy, because let's be real. As relevant as Caitlin Clark is, how many people are going to be watching Caitlin Clark every single game in in Turkey? How many people are going to be watching at 2 p.m. on a Monday every single Caitlin Clark game in America? Very few, because, it clashes. And as much as people want to watch Caitlin Clark, do people want to watch, it's the relevancy is going to die.
Exactly. No one is indifferent. And in media, indifference is the only real enemy. That this wasn't just a viral moment. It was a shift, and shifts don't ask permission. They happen whether people are ready or not. Suddenly, metrics, attention, and conversations start moving in new directions. Old hierarchies, comfort zones, and assumptions get exposed. And that's why this moment is more than hype. It's a recalibration of what the audience values. Fans now decide who matters, and the system has to catch up. Caitlin Clark didn't ask for permission. She just delivered, and the ripple effect is unavoidable. And that's when it hit differently. This wasn't just a women's basketball audience anymore. This was everyone: NBA fans, casual viewers, people who didn't follow leagues but chased moments, and Caitlin Clark had delivered one effortlessly. On-air reactions were understated: a raised eyebrow, a brief pause, a hesitant smile, but behind the scenes, things were anything but subtle. Phones started buzzing nonstop. Executives, producers, sponsors, even players noticed, because this wasn't just visibility, it was elevation. For years, athletes were told the league would grow collectively, that no single name should dominate, that attention would be evenly spread. But live on air, Caitlin Clark shattered that narrative, proving that a single player could redefine the spotlight. Caitlin Clark wasn't being treated as just another player. She was the centerpiece, and that's when tension surfaced, because attention equals power, and power inevitably breeds friction. Within hours, reactions started leaking out, not through official statements or press conferences, but in subtler ways. Notable silence where praise was expected, pointed remarks from those who felt challenged, and a defensive energy that clashed with what should have been a celebratory moment.